On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Are they pushing us to a constitutional crisis? Is this intentional? Are we seeing the bad actors coming forward? Actually, might be the case. I also think it's possible there's an easy way out for this, on this, and I think this actually might, this might work out a little different than the way it's being spun right now. How about that? We've got that covered up. I've got some interesting news covered in today's show. And first, I just want to say, of course, happy Resurrection Day or happy Easter to all of you out there. Happy Passover, if that's more applicable. And if there's any other festive things going on right now, if there's something I'm missing, happy that too. Also, happy 420. Today is April 20th. So happy 420 day as well. Just, not that it matters at all. So Donald Trump had a couple cool truths out in relation to Easter. Beautiful day. And this first one, Melania and I would like to wish everyone a very happy Easter. Whether you are heading out to church or watching service from home, may this day be full of peace and joy for all who celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He is risen. It's all capital letters. I guess someone told me you're supposed to read them separately. This is just the end, so I guess that's, you just keep reading. Rinse, lather, repeat on that particular case. In this one here, this is Donald Trump being a little more tongue-in-cheek, a little more spicy. How about that? We'll go with that. Happy Easter to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting and scheming so hard to bring murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, the mentally insane and well-known MS-13 gang members and wife-beaters back into our country. Happy Easter also to the weak and ineffective judges and law enforcement officials who are allowing this sinister attack on our nation to continue. An attack so violent that it will never be forgotten. Sleepy Joe Biden purposefully allowed millions of criminals to enter our country totally unvetted and unchecked through an open border policy that will go down in history as the single most calamitous act ever perpetrated upon America. He was by far our worst and most incompetent president, a man who had absolutely no idea what he was doing. But to him, and to the person that ran and manipulated the auto pin, perhaps our real president, and to all of the people who cheated in the 2020 presidential election in order to get this highly destructive moron elected, I wish you, with great love, sincerity, and affection, a very happy Easter. Wow. Now, not easy for me to read, obviously. All right, this is where someone told me you're just supposed to read just the capital letters. We'll see how that plays out. So, was it just MS, or we're going to go with MS-13 because numbers aren't really fair on that case? But we got MS. Maybe it's because it stands for. We'll leave that one alone. So, weak, ineffective, criminals, worst, cheated. I don't know, it's supposed to be like the code word, right? Like if you get the decoder ring, I think that's kind of what they're saying. I don't know if it always works. I don't know. That's what they suggested. Doesn't seem to always work. I think I got all the words in there. Whatever. Having fun. They got some more, who put this one out? This is Donald Trump. Yeah, wishing us, again, happy Easter, but fun to hear it in his own words.
My fellow Americans, at this holy time of the year, families across our nation gather in homes, churches, and synagogues to light candles and to praise God. During the sacred holiday of Passover, Jewish families around the world give thanks to God for liberating the Jewish people from bondage in Egypt and delivering them to the promised land of Israel. For Christians, we remember the suffering and death of God's only Son and his glorious resurrection on the third day. On Easter Sunday, we proclaim with joy, Christ is risen. Both of these sacred celebrations remind us that God's love redeems the world. Almost 3,000 years ago, the prophet Isaiah wrote, "Darkness covers the earth, but the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. For the Lord will be your everlasting light." In America, we look to the light of God to guide our steps. We trust in the power of the Almighty for wisdom and strength, and we praise our Heavenly Father for the blessings of freedom and the gift of eternal life. Happy Passover, happy Easter. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
All right, so I just want to know.
For everlasting.
who of you guys were also wondering why was his eye kind of closed? Why was this one eye sort of closed? And I'd say lighting, but it doesn't look uneven. And maybe he's just being blasted with light. Maybe he's half asleep. Maybe this is like that one moment where he would actually get an hour of sleep. But I don't know. I thought that was very strange. Very strange, in fact. He doesn't never do that. That's the first time I can recall where it seems like he was almost shutting one eye. So, don't know. Don't know what's up with that. But still, happy Easter, of course. Vance went out with his family to Italy, it seems, the Vatican. Literally, our wonderful Pope is, I'm saying wonderful totally facetiously. I don't think the guy's a good guy at all, by the way. And I am brought up Catholic. I'm allowed to say I've been confirmed. I've been first communioned, the whole 9 yards. I went to private high school. I've done it. Done it, folks. The meeting lasted a few minutes, but they did meet and exchange, which I find interesting. And I almost wonder if Vance was actually there on official business and then decided to enjoy having the services out there for Easter, which was brilliant. And his wife was with him, which I found to be pretty cool. There's no pictures of it, I think, in this particular story. There was a picture somewhere where they were kneeled down, doing the kneeling thing that Catholics like to do, a couple times. You got to get down on your knees, up, down, up, down. Make sure your legs work. That's the good thing about going to church, in the Catholic Church. You get good leg exercises, pump them up. Joe Biden is having trouble booking gigs. He's running around. Now, Obama, just to put it in perspective, Obama actually charged more. The way they do it is he's a 25% discount, Biden is, or Obama charges 33% more, however you want to look at it. Obama charges $400,000 for speaking appearances. Biden's been charging $300,000 since his little gaffe of his last speech where he talked about colored people in the bus. A lot of people are like, we don't want him. So he's having a hard time booking. Plus, he had a lot of other requirements that he has his entourage that goes with him, like 5-7 people, something like that. And 5 staffers, so they all got to get paid for as well. So not cheap to have him come and speak and pretty much ruin whatever event you had him at. So yeah, he's having a hard time. Now also, kind of interesting. So this is something that is, I think, I think it's been misinterpreted. I think if you listen closely, and I'm going to spend a couple seconds on this because I think it's interesting. Everyone's saying Biden's former press secretary admits she never talked with the actual president. I actually say that's not what she said. That's what someone's claiming she said, and it's unfortunate it's this gentleman because I like this guy, and I don't know, I'm thinking I'm going to try to fast forward to where the part is so I don't necessarily focus there, but, every once in a while we get it wrong. I do too. I just got to sometimes admit it and move on, and so I don't know where that's going to be, if that even is in this process, but I think if you play it at a normal speed or even slightly lower, which we're going to do, you can hear the press secretary talk about never talking to the campaign. Now, she wouldn't be allowed to talk to the campaign. Now, again, Whoopi ended this. I don't know what she was trying to stop. She said so they could see where it was going. Maybe she didn't hear it that way either. Don't know. Because it looked like they were trying to maybe spin it into the direction of he is not talking to the president. But she does say the word campaign. And as a spokesperson she can't be talking to the campaign, right? Like, I think that crosses over that, running from from in front of the press box. What's that, the Logan Act, I think it is, right? You kind of think she can't do that. So I think it's a separation intentionally, but I want you guys to hear it and we'll play it. But I do think she says campaign, the Biden administration campaign or the Biden campaign or whatever she said. And everyone assumed it to be, she's not talking to the president. So we'll get there. Let me pop it up here, and I'll try to skip past.
You start finding out a little former press secretary, Vice President Kamala, and finding out what she needs to talk about, working step in step with them to ensure that. But she messed up on The View.
The Democratic Party needs to actually answer those questions that I put forth. Who are we and what are we fighting?
And how do we
meet the moment?
Press secretary, you were also an assistant to the president, so that meant you were able to interact with the campaign off time.
Actually, I could not I had a special kind of role as the press secretary. I did not interact with it.
So you had no.
So she said campaign. The question was campaign. Hear it again.
On The View.
The Democratic Party needs to actually answer those questions that I put forth. Who are we and what are we fighting?
And how do we
meet the moment?
Press secretary, you were also an assistant to the president, so that meant you were able to interact with the campaign off time.
Actually, I could not I had a special kind of role as the press secretary. I did not interact with it.
So you had no.
Did not interact with it, and then she got talked over, but she said another word, campaign. And she says, as the press secretary, I had a unique environment or whatever. So again, I disagree with all due respect. This is not the Biden's former press secretary admitting she never talked with the actual president. In my opinion. We'll see what you guys think. I tried my best to play that out for you. All right, what do we got? State Farm eases personal property payout burden for L.A. fire victims after talks with the Trump's Grinnell. So look how far we are from the fires, too, at this point. And North Carolina, I think you guys are starting to finally get stuff. It's a pain in the ass, bureaucracy. The way this insurance was going to be is they were going to pay up to 50% without having to itemize stuff. I guess you would just, if you wanted to take the easy payout and didn't want to have to go to the pain of itemizing every damn thing you own, then they would just give you 50% of everything you claim. Right now, they've got it up to 65% because of the Trump administration trying to help out. Rick Grinnell specifically being from out here. So cool. Hopefully other places too, like Hawaii. Are they getting anything? Again, now it's funny where federal money's not flowing real smoothly to these states that have asshole governors or possibly asshole Congress members. Hawaii. I don't know the governor in Hawaii. I don't know why that doesn't seem to pop up all that much. I'm sure they're liberal too. I don't know. Juan O'Savin was talking about how I guess it's really conservative out there. I have no idea. I don't go to Hawaii every other day. I've been there once, and it was fabulous, but that's it, so I don't know. I have no idea. With echoes of Joan Rivers and Kash Patel, Eric Adams lashes out at the media. I kind of love this. I wish we had the whole audio. I think it was like 10 minutes long in someplace I found it, but here's some of the quotes he had, and this is Eric Adams. He was pissed. I guess he was delivering a diatribe against perceived critics and the media in a speech Friday morning at the African American Mayors Association, warning politicians in attendance a similar fate could befall them. Quote, particularly, if you are the first or second black mayor, you inherit those who are part of an institution who say, we are going to wait you out, said the mayor. You inherit those who have their own agenda, who have long relationships with the media that can then leak and slip information and make calls on you. He went on to lambast critics who have called the city chaotic despite his accomplishments, right? And he says, quote, the goal we must do as black mayors, we must identify our own communication mechanism. We can no longer be defined by the eyes of those who have no desire to see or report on the success we have accomplished. He's basically calling out his own people, the board and everything else too. Same thing that's happening in L.A. I mean, the mayor's a mess, so she sucks, but the L.A. City Council's a frickin' mess too, right? At least for Los Angeles. Thank God I don't live there. People are like, you wouldn't be safe if you went there. I'm like, I know. That's why I don't go there. Hello? Hello? So anyway, yeah, he doesn't, he's not trusting any of these people. Government gangsters. Adams has been talking about that book a bunch, Kash Patel's book, which I actually want to order it. When I get done reading stuff that I find far more important, unfortunately, I'm going to definitely dig into that book. But yeah, I'm sure it's stuff that I kind of figured, but I hear it's really well laid out. That's kind of the part I want to really see. Leaders in AOC's red light district are calling on Kash Patel to crush worsening gang crime and prostitution. They've got some major problems in AOC's area. Now, some of why this story is coming out, again, it's all pandering to a degree, I guess, but AOC right now there's a lot of stuff floating around that she's likely the most likely contender for the presidential nomination for the Democrat Party. Think about that for a second. One, kind of not surprising if you think of all the people that are just old and suck. None of those people could make it. And then you've got some of your other crazy nut jobs like Hakeem Jeffries now, just too nuts, right? Too radical. But AOC is like kind of pulled this weird center line progressive radical, and I'm not saying she's more right leaning or more towards the center. I mean, she's very, very progressive, but she's done a much better job of marketing herself, or carefully marketing herself, I should say. I think, in my opinion. Needless to say, I don't like her, but I'm not really worried about her. I think she would get just annihilated by anyone with half a brain. All said, her area that she's her constituents is a mess. There's sex workers, there's violence, there's gangs, Tren de Aragua. All this is happening. I'm sure some of this is also meant to make, one, her look bad. Obviously, two, New York look bad. Probably also Eric Adams. They're going to try to blame on this, So, again, we're throwing shade where we're throwing shade. It is what it is. But, yeah. Top Trump econ advisor says White House is studying ways to fire Powell. This is one of those that's slow. It's being talked about, and Trump has even gone so far as to say, if I want him fired, he's fired. I again feel very strong on this, that a lot of what's happening, Trump may end up firing, and don't get me wrong, and I think he will, but he's trying to get the other side to fetch and run with this. Get the giant stick in their mouth and go running towards the door, and you know what happens the second they hit the door. Right? This is kind of what I think they're setting up. I kind of think the Supreme Court thing may be sort of similar too, but kind of different. We'll get there. But Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell not messing with the interest rates when the European Central Bank did. We've done a lot of things to improve the direction the economy's going. It looks as though it might be political. And Trump knows he can nudge the economy in all sorts of different directions depending on how he negotiates things. I think it's why he pulled back on the China thing a little bit too, because he is pulling the strings on the economy and trying to force Powell. And if he does it just right, and Powell refuses to do what he needs to do, which is likely what's going to happen, then Trump can actually bring the thing down and blame the Fed. And that will be powerful. And it might very well be. The fact that the price of gold is going up like it is. It's still like $33.25 or whatever. It's super high. And if it continues to go up like it has, it's gone up, I don't know, $300 in the last 2 weeks or so. That's a lot. That's a fast movement. That's weird. So again, it's very strange what's happening. And everybody's using normal rules to describe what we're experiencing, but we're not in a normal situation. We're not playing by the rules. We are literally trying to drive change. And so I very strongly believe Trump does know what he's doing. I don't know if he fully knows to the depth or which things are going to move, but I think that was some of it was experimentation and the other was demonstration, like I've said. And then he was like, all right, I'll just put it back, and everything kind of comes back to normal. He's like, all right, I think I got this. So I think Trump is playing with the wobble in the economy. So right now stocks are looking, let's see, they went down on Friday. Let's see what the futures are. Dow Jones looks like it's going to be having a tough start. S&P and NASDAQ both look up. Silver's down a little bit. It's at 32,470, which is still a great price. And gold's at 33.28 at the moment. They're expecting it to go down a little bit. We'll see what happens. So again, a lot happening. I just want to remind you guys, I'd get the ball rolling. If you're in a 401k or an IRA, I would seriously consider at least getting the ball rolling. If the stocks hold long enough for you to get yourself to that place where you can decide and sign the dotted line, if you will, then that's when you make your decision. Otherwise, you're just getting a process going that takes some time. Now, Goldco's the best at this. It's got best customer service, and they're going to hold your hand through this entire process. But if you've got a 401k or an IRA, you can tax-free, penalty-free transfer over. You can also get up to 10% of free silver, which is an incredible deal right now. Up to 10% free silver of the face value of, or whatever you're transferring over. Again, you want to diversify is probably the best advice. I don't know. Personally, I'm not really into being in the 401k thing. I don't like where they invest the money. I didn't like what they were doing with it, so I kind of personally thought it wasn't the best idea. Buying a couple stocks here and there, like I own some Rumble stock. It's actually gone up a bunch too, by the way. It's what it is. But I don't have a bunch of stuff like that. I've got a little bit of precious metals. Ultimately, I'm praying to God, just my good looks and my personality are going to get me through this. I'm kidding, of course. No, I just know how to work, and I've squirreled away a couple things. You've got to do the same thing. Diversify into something that's actually doing very well and has protected people's wealth for years and years. DRSlikesgold.com, DRSlikesgold.com. This system is not doing well, and most people realize the Fed's not supposed to make it. I don't know how that plays out, but I can't imagine it's going to go just totally smoothly. There's going to be a little bit of pain in there. You don't have to experience that pain. You can get out of that pain. So I would get the ball rolling. If you can get out before anything super crazy happens, maybe we can get these numbers up a little bit before you say, all right, do it now, right? So something to keep in mind. I'd like you guys to consider that, because you can protect your wealth and you can protect your ability to make it through this. It's going to be a big part of that. So interesting. I don't know. I find this strange. FSU shooting victim. He was a major. I don't know if you guys have heard of the company Aramark. I think they do a lot of like the uniforms and aprons and maybe even sort of the flooring stuff. I don't know. They do a lot of stuff for restaurants and catering and all that. It's a company. I've seen their trucks cruising around. I don't fully understand what they do. I want to say it's linen services typically is what I see, but he was one of the head dudes of Aramark that was shot and killed. Remember, they told us that the 2 people killed weren't students. Bunch of people injured. 2 people killed. They weren't students. Apparently, they were both Aramark employees. One of them was a manager. So the dining manager and his boss, who was in town for a visit, were both killed when the gunman opened fire. Just these 2. Why? Like that, I don't know. Like they were in a school. This was a student that did the shooting, yet this student didn't kill students. Like who was he pissed at? Why the Aramark guy? What? That's even weirder. And the fact that it's the same day that this special guy shows up, this high-ranking dude, like district level or whatever. I don't know. I just think it's weird. Whatever the case is, it's a piece of information. FBI Director Kash Patel said this morning, I can report the FBI has arrested another suspect on charges related to attacking the Tesla facilities. This individual, we believe, set fire to multiple Tesla vehicles at a dealership in Kansas City, Missouri on March 17th. This is our second Tesla-related arrest this week as our FBI teams continue our aggressive work to crack down on domestic terrorism. Boom. Boom. Making some progress, folks. Minnesota State employee was reportedly busted for allegedly causing approximately $20,000 in damage while vandalizing Teslas, just weeks after failed vice presidential candidates and Governor Tim Walz publicly mocked the electric car company and their falling stock. Dylan Brian Adams. Oh, it's so sad to Brian Adams. He's a 33-year-old fiscal policy analyst for the North Star State. He was arrested on suspicion of keying multiple Teslas in Minneapolis while out walking his dog in an act of destruction caught on vehicle surveillance. Idiot. Adams was allegedly seen approaching a vehicle from the Elon Musk owner automaker with his dog and then abruptly dragging his key down the side of the car, stripping what appeared to be paint off the electric vehicles, the watchdog group said. Now, interesting that it's a dude that works for Tim Walz. Also interesting that Tim Walz is rejoicing this. Also something that we talked about once, and I'm bringing it up again because there's some lady that's freaking out that content creators need to talk about this. All right, I'll bring it up. Shit. They're planning on letting out something like, 92% of all the people in jail in Minnesota. Just FYI, if you live in Minnesota or the surrounding areas, they're planning on releasing 92% of all the criminals. Why? Because they want to improve safety. All right? That's what I think. When I think of how can I make society safer, I need to get more criminals out there. That's what I need to do. Bam, right? Like the answer just comes to you when you know how to look at it. Like, yeah, whatever. So Minnesota, y'all need to get off your asses and start making some noise. And I don't mean you're being lazy. I just mean you got to fight in your state. You got to fight and make noise. Can't all be done for you. Dan Bongino is warning of an incoming fake news article. He put this out. I wanted to, give him his moment. Adam Goldman of the New York Times is getting ready to run another one of their journalism expose pieces about me spending time in our FBI training facility ground, fighting with our dedicated and skilled defensive tactics instructor. Their big news or hook is that after a solid few rounds of grappling, I injured my shoulder. Because it's Adam Goldman, you can generally assume he's wrong, and he is, again. The instructor I was grappling with got the best of me because he's incredibly talented. That's why he's there. And it was my not an injury, but a bit of swelling in my right elbow, not shoulder, because I am 50 years old and can't recover like I used to. But I felt it was important to get on the mats anyway, because that's what men do. But Adam doesn't know much about that, and never will, because he's Adam from the New York Times. So, giving a nice hearty slam, not necessarily being horrible because he is using his actual thing, but his FBI, account. But at the same time, he's about to get attacked again by this douchehole Adam Goldman, or alleged douchehole. I don't know for sure that he's actually a douchehole. Just seems to be. Rep. Maxine Dexter, a Democrat from Oregon, how we say it, but Oregon is how some people say it. I don't know. That's probably more correct, maybe. They're planning to travel to El Salvador to advocate for the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, an El Salvadorian national who the Trump administration deported to El Salvador. Yeah, so we got another politician that's planning on running down there. See, this is kind of beautiful because the Dems are really just, they can't help themselves. And so they're running down the wrong path. They're literally trying to bring a dude that's a known criminal that beat his wife, at least allegedly. And there was a criminal complaint. I think he was convicted of it. So, they're fighting to bring back a criminal. There's no way the Democrats look good on this, except to the illegal community that they've brought here and promised everything. And once again, they're going to be let down, and then those people are going to be pissed at them as well. And then they're probably the illegal people are still probably going to start voting for Republican type stuff or conservative type stuff or MAGA stuff at least. Let's call it that. I like that better. It makes me feel less sick to my stomach. So the Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer denied the request to use taxpayer funds to fly a bunch of Congress members down to El Salvador so they can all make a big deal about this. He's like, no, we're not spending any taxpayer money on that. You guys want to go down there? You spend your own dime. So that's that. Senator Chris Van Hollen's holding a press conference to address getting caught drinking margaritas. I'll just let him. I think it's stupid what he says. And I don't know. I don't know if I haven't seen the picture, I don't think, per se, of the margaritas. But he does make one comment. I don't know if they have straws in them, but it's not uncommon to have a straw in a margarita. Granted, if they're the crazy martini glasses, which they might, I don't know, then yeah, you'd probably sip it. And that's the thing he says, that since there's, there was like crystals on the rim, if you took a sip, it likely have, been cleaned off, right, at that spot where you drank it. Since he says there wasn't anything in that in the picture. So I don't know if that's actually true. Whatever the case is, he's still trying to bring back and having lunch with a dude that's a known MS-13 gang member, committed crimes, beat up his wife, has been deported, was not in our country legally anyway. I don't care if he used to live in Maryland. He was illegally in Maryland. And apparently was on the radar back in 2022, I want to say. Whatever. Here's this guy.
Now I just want to take a moment. I hadn't planned to do this, but as I was landing on the airplane, I got a transcript of some questions President Trump was asked at the White House today about what I would call Margaritagate. I don't know if you guys have been following this, but President Bukele, after I met with Kilmar, did this tweet showing us at a table with these two glasses. So here's what happened. When I first sat down with Kilmar, we just had glasses of water on the table. I think maybe some coffee. And as we were talking, one of the government people came over and deposited two other glasses on the table with ice, and I don't know if it was salt or sugar around the top, but they look like margaritas. And if you look at the one they put in front of Kilmar, it actually had a little less liquid than the one in front of me, to try to make it look, I assume, like he drank out of it. let me just be very clear. Neither of us touched the drinks that were in front of us. And if you want to play a little Sherlock Holmes, I'll tell you how you can know that. So if you look at the video or the picture I sent out from the beginning of our meeting, you'll see there are no glasses on the table. So you'll see in later videos they are on the table. But they made a little mistake. First, some people are very careful, right? If you sip out of one of those glasses, some of whatever it was, salt or sugar, would disappear. You would see a gap. There's no gap. Nobody drank any margaritas or sugar water or whatever it is. But this is a lesson into the lengths that President Bukele will do to deceive people about what's going on. And it's also shows the lengths that the Trump administration and the president will go to, because when he was asked about a reporter about this, he just went along for the ride.
You're there to grandstand about an illegal alien criminal MS-13 gang member, dude. Like, you're seeing the deep state have to separate themselves right now. This is a great part of the movie. This is going to be like the aha moment for so many. Here's Trump bringing a photo. This is the hand of the man that the Democrats feel should be brought back to the United States because he is such a fine and innocent person. They said he is not a member of MS-13, even though he's got MS-13 tattooed onto his knuckles. And two highly respected courts found that he was a member of MS-13, beat up his wife, etc. I was elected to take bad people out of the United States, among other things. I must be allowed to do my job. Make America great again. Dude's literally got MS-13 marijuana, the smile, was MS-31? Oh, just the number one, I guess. And then 13's too. Death, I guess. But anyway, the skull for the 3. Interesting. Skull and bones. Interesting tie-in there. You know, they talk about 33rd degree. I wonder if 13th degree is sort of, and then there's a 23rd, right? Like, I don't know. Kind of wonder if they play a little bit like that too, sort of. All said. It's interesting, because 13 is actually supposed to be one of those numbers that's been stolen by the occult, but actually used to be like 17, used to be actually a good number. 31 is kind of cool. A lot of months have 31 days. Kind of interesting. Bummer. Yeah, lost this one. Oh, yeah, judge won't pause deportation flights under the Immigrations Act. A federal judge in D.C. told lawyers for migrants in Texas who believe the Trump administration is about to swiftly deport them. He said he does not have the power to pause it. It was actually Boasberg that said this. I feel like I lost the story that I was planning on sharing, because there are these live news pages, and if you accidentally pop one of these bad boys open and then come back to it in a couple hours, yeah, it removes your story, or it moves. I don't know where the hell it goes. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Boasberg, there it is, I think. I got lucky. He's now giving Deputy Assistant Attorney General Drew Ensign 30 minutes to touch base with the government to ensure no flights will leave until Sunday. So whatever. And this will get us into the infamous Supreme Court. Appeals Court halts Boasberg's contempt proceedings against Trump administration. A divided federal appeals court panel on Friday temporarily halted the District Judge James Boasberg contempt proceedings against the Trump administration over its deportation flights. U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit indicated its order is intended to provide sufficient opportunity for the court to consider the government's appeal and should not be construed in any way as a ruling on the merits of the motion. But for now, it prevents Boasberg from moving ahead with his efforts to hold administration officials in contempt. The judge on Wednesday found probable cause for contempt, calling the government's refusal to turn around the March 15th deportation flights a willful disregard of the court's order. So the 3-judge panel circuit was split 2-1. The 2 Trump appointees, Judge Gregory Katsas and Naomi Rao, they ruled for the administration. Judge Cornelia Pillard, an appointee from Obama, dissented. Needless to say, it didn't happen. So we'll see where this plays out. Again, a lot of stuff's going on right now that needs to be identified, that has really already been identified. And now it's strange that the Supreme Court is literally trying to stop Trump from deporting anybody. But they're just, I think they're pausing it. I don't think they've made a ruling totally. I don't know. We'll see. The we'll read some of the thing here coming up in a second. Supreme Court orders Trump administration not to deport Venezuelans under Alien Enemies Act for now. For now. Justices said no action should be taken to pursue the deportations of any alleged Venezuelan gang members in Texas until this under this rarely used thing that that he's using, right? The Aliens Act thing. So the government is not supposed to remove anybody at the moment. They're not saying necessarily that everybody's got to go through an individual case or anything like that. I think they want to, like, hang on a second. We got all these people all over the place doing stuff. Let's bubble this up. Let's take this. And so Trump, don't deport anyone for now. Now, Justice Alito and Justice Thomas, they both hardcore dissented. And sort of, I mean, this is, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to read some of this. Shortly after midnight yesterday, the court hastily and prematurely granted unprecedented emergency relief. Proceedings under the All Writs Act, 28 U.S.C. 1651, the court ordered the government not to remove a putative class of detainees until this court issues a superseding order. Although the order does not define the putative class, it appears that the court means all members of the class that the habeas petitioners sought to have certified, namely all non-citizens in custody in the Northern District of Texas who were, are, or will be subject to the March 2025 presidential proclamation entitled Invocation of the Alien Enemies Act regarding the invasion of the United States by Tren de Aragua and or its implementation. Motion for class certification and yada yada. And although the court does not specify what it means by the government, it appears that the term is intended to embrace all the named defendants, including the president. The court did all of this, even though, one, or bullet point, it is not clear that the court had jurisdiction. The All Writs Act does not provide an independent grant or jurisdiction. See 28 U.S.C. 1651, permitting writs necessary or appropriate in aid of a court's jurisdiction. Clinton v. Goldsmith. That was back in 1999. The, quote, the express terms of the All Writs Act confine the power of a court to issuing process in aid of its existing statutory jurisdiction. The Act does not enlarge that jurisdiction. Quoting 1651, therefore, this court had jurisdiction only if the Court of Appeals had jurisdiction of the applicant's appeal. See 1254, granting this court jurisdiction to review cases in the Court of Appeals. And the Court of Appeals had jurisdiction only if the supposed order that the applicants appealed amounted to the denial of a preliminary injunction. But here, the order that applicants appealed was what they viewed as the district court's constructive denial of their request for a temporary restraining order. That is, the district court did not actually deny their most recent request for a TRO, but they inferred that it was constructively denied because the district court failed to rule on that request before the expiration of the truncated counsel-imposed deadline. The denial of a true TRO is not appealable, and here it is not clear that the applicant's TRO request was actually denied. Indeed, in an order issued last night, the Fifth Circuit held that it lacked jurisdiction for this reason. Second bullet point. It is questionable whether the applicants complied with the general obligation to seek emergency injunctive relief in the district court before asking for such relief from an appellate court. When the applicants requested such relief in the district court, they insist on a ruling within 45 minutes on Good Friday afternoon. And when the district court did not act within 133 minutes, they filed a notice of appeal, which the district court held deprived it of jurisdiction. So they just skipped right past the court. Didn't even give them a chance. And the Supreme Court still like, all right, we'll rule. So all of this is very strange. When the courts rushed to enter its order, the Court of Appeals was considering the issue of emergency relief, and we were informed that a decision would be forthcoming. This court, however, refused to wait, But under this court's rule 23.3, except in the most extraordinary circumstances, an application for a stay will not be entertained unless the relief requested was first sought in the appropriate court or courts below or from a judge or judges thereof. It didn't do that either. The only papers before this court were those submitted by the applicants. The court had not ordered or received a response by the government regarding either the applicants' factual allegations or any of the legal issues presented by the application. And the court did not have the benefit of a government response filed in any of the lower courts either. When the applicants first raised their allegation in the district court, that court provided the government with 24 hours to respond and was poised to rule expeditiously. But the district court dissolved the government's obligation to respond after counsel for applicants filed their hasty appeal, which, in the district court's view, deprived it of jurisdiction to rule. The papers before us, while alleging that the applicants were in imminent danger of removal, provided little concrete support for that allegation. Members of this court have repeatedly insisted that an All Writs Act injunction pending appeal may only be granted when, among other things, the legal rights at issue are indisputably clear and, even then, sparingly and only in the most critical of exigent circumstances. And South Bay United Pentecostal Church versus Newsom. Interesting. It was back in 2020, and I kind of vaguely remember that. So this is big time. What's going on? It's kind of why I'm spending the extra time on it. And this is their dissent, and it's powerful. A couple more bits here. It's almost over. Although this court did not hear directly from the government regarding any planned deportations under the Alien Enemies Act in this matter, an attorney representing the government in a different matter, JGG versus Trump, informed the district court in that case during a hearing yesterday evening that no such deportations were then planned to occur either yesterday or April 19th. Today's the 20th. Although the court provided class-wide relief, the district court never certified a class, and this court has never held that class relief may be sought in a habeas proceeding. They're breaking their own rules. This is insane what's going on. Now, there is a way that Roberts can fix this. We'll finish off this last sit, and then I'll say my bullshit. In the end, he says, in sum, literally in the middle of the night, the court issued unprecedented and legally questionable relief without giving the lower courts a chance to rule, without hearing from the opposing party, within 8 hours of receiving the application, with dubious factual support for its order, and without providing any explanation for its order. I refused to join the court's order because we had no good reason to think that, under the circumstances, issuing an order at midnight was necessary or appropriate. Both the executive and the judiciary have an obligation to follow the law. The executive must proceed under the terms of our order in Trump v. JGG, and this court should follow established procedures. Bam. Now, did this happen because they needed to stop it? Did this happen because Roberts took the bait and had to? Is Roberts going to hold the line for the deep state? In which case, the only thing that can happen at that point, in my opinion, is the scandalous stuff about him's got to come out. I mean, I don't know what else can happen. So that would be interesting. I doubt that would be the direction that Roberts went. In fact, I wonder if maybe this was just a way to make a bunch of noise, create a pause, make it look like the Supreme Court got involved. He's stopping Trump, right? And give everybody a chance to just friggin' grab their special parts and just relax, maybe have a good cry. But then ultimately come out, I don't know, hopefully Monday, come out and tell us, yeah, so here's the deal. Trump is, we want to hear from people. Here's the arguments, and we'll do it expeditiously. We just want to understand this better and give everything a chance to happen properly, and then essentially remove Trump's handcuffs. So we're keeping him in jail a little bit longer here in the States. We're still allowed to round him up and put him in the prisons. Now they're going to start to fill up, and I'm wondering if how big a concern that is, or if we're going to have to open up some other areas, or if this is where the FEMA camps start to get used. We've heard that story coming out. And for some of you guys that are worried about military on our soil, that might very well also be where that stuff starts to play out a little bit. Hopefully not ever martial law, seriously, because that's not necessarily a good thing. So let's keep that in mind. But the idea of maybe the military operating within our confines, yeah. I mean, I can see some places where that is technically happening, right? And we wouldn't have too big a problem with it, self included. So we're in a very, 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 very contentious, crazy, fun place right now. Now, Bill Ackman, a nation in which one administration can allow millions of unvetted illegal migrants into the country, but it requires that a court vet each deportation decision in an individually adjudicated case, will soon lose the values our democratic system was intended to preserve. Now, I don't think that's true. His point is well taken, and I actually think he's intentionally trying to steer it in that direction of thought. So, again, but powerful point. We've also got Bill Malugin making some interesting statements here as well. It says, per a senior Trump administration official, these are some of the suspected Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang members detained in Texas that the admin was planning to deport before SCOTUS stepped in and blocked it last night. All of significant criminal convictions or charges. So dudes with the tats, all the different stuff. I mean, yeah, just everything that you would expect, I guess, from Tren de Aragua. Illegal possession of weapons as well. Some of the typical tattoos. Yeah, I've seen that one before. It's always a trip, too, because they're super inked up, and then they just got that, like, one little patch of skin. Christians, too. That's kind of funny. I mean, they use it, kind of mockingly almost, I think, but who knows? They're brought up that way. Yeah, so we've got, these are the people we're trying to get rid of. Tren de Aragua, just bad people with bad mojo. There's some more Bill was sharing with us. Another guy. Multiple convictions, right? I mean, multiple criminal convictions for hit and run, battery, possession, stolen property, driving under the influence, shoplifting, pending charges for battery, resisting an officer, simple assault, and DUI. This dude's not here legally, and he's done all of this already, and they're like, yeah, well, I don't think you should be able to send him back. It's like, he's a criminal. What are you talking about? That's insanity. This is what we put Trump in office to do. Democrat judge resigns after federal agents arrest illegal gang member with a gun at his home. Longtime Democrat magistrate judge in New Mexico suddenly had to resign because they had a criminal living in their casita on their property. This criminal living, they knew they weren't legal. They were a handyman. That's how they met the wife or whatever. And so, yeah, he was living in their casita. He was an illegal gang member. Specifically living in the casita. Two became acquainted. During the raid, federal agents also discovered that Ortega Lopez was in possession of multiple firearms. So, yeah, bad mojo going on. So, yeah, if you were sure Democrats indeed sided with illegal gang members over the Americans, this should clearly show more. So, yeah, this is the friends of these guys. Yeah, I mean, again, this is all over the place, guys. All over the place. It's just and shocking, and we're seeing it. What's interesting as well, confidence in the Democratic leadership apparently sinking to a new low. This is a Gallup poll that's out right now. Their literal number has dropped to the lowest ever in the history of this poll, or probably ever. It's at 25. Looks like the Republicans hit 24, so it's not quite the lowest ever. But for them it is. And they've had a steep drop since 2021 of 49% confidence in their congressional party leaders, down to a low of 25. Republicans in 39, and I think most of us are still like, there's like 5 of you guys that we actually trust, and the rest of you guys are just friggin' knuckleheads causing problems or just trying to get your name in the paper. Like, it feels like there's just, a handful of people that are literally doing shit, rather than just being like, we need to put a bill out there that gets Donald Trump's face on Mount Rushmore. And it's like, really? Like, that's, yeah, maybe, but that's so, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, literally go find something more important to do, please. Pretty please. Whatever the case is. Yeah, our numbers are not that good either. Gretchen Whitmer's bureaucrats sued for requiring implicit bias training to keep medical licenses. This doctor's had enough, and he's basically suing her. Like, he believes this group, I don't know if it matters what their initials are, but it's a group in the Lara's authorization that they don't have the authority to do this. It's another one of these agencies creating rules when it's not like legal. This is a doctor, and they want him to take some sort of DEI training, or he can't get his license. He'll give up his license. They're literally saying, we're going to take away your license if you don't do this DEI training, this mandatory training. Just insane. And they did it since the George Floyd thing. And so, again, it's just that stupid pandering, grandstanding nonsense. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's Chief of Staff, Joe Casper, also caught up in this leaking probe. I friggin' love it. They have busted so many people on this leak, and it's been awesome. And it's, I'll guarantee, there's so many, there's stuff I could guess at, and I'm betting there's even way cooler stuff that they've got now, but there are so many little interesting things you can do with information to make sure if someone passes it, you know who it came from. And so they've caught a bunch of people. Some of them have immediately been fired. Some of them have been given till the end of the week. I'd love to know the difference, frankly, between one or the other. Now, it's a story that's flowing around. There's a dude that everybody probably respects and loves or whatever. He's super popular, apparently. The General. The General is one thing. I see his posts all over the place. And the only thing that really, 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 really bothers me about what the General does is he never, almost never anyways, rarely, most of the time I don't see it, rarely gives sources. Almost never gives sources. Just says stuff. Here was his post. Donald Trump is reportedly considering appointing Ezra Cohen as deputy director of the NSA. The only source I was able to find other than his Twitter, is this stupid show, trendsnewsline.com. This is a horseshit thing too. It's probably his. Probably the General owns this. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a dick to the General. He might be a wonderful guy. I have no idea who the hell he is. I just can't stand the fact when he just makes these outlandish claims, and some of them are true, and this might be, but I literally went searching for it, could not find any place other than this Newsline, Trends Newsline sign. No place else could I find Ezra and NSA, Ezra Cohen NSA, Trump considers Ezra. None of those searches pulled anything together. And I could go do the search on X, but it's going to pull up some of the shit that General's done and all the things that people have said about. And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an actual source of information other than some dude saying sources are suggesting, which is weird. Now, maybe Ezra makes it in. I don't know. Here's the post itself. Maybe he makes it in. We got Michael Flynn posted this. What the hell?
As we enact.
The hell? The guy is dead on when it comes to innovative practices in the U.S. Navy, and I hope SecDef is paying attention to this. Lethality has shifted the new types of tools and weapons systems, but mainly lethality has. I feel like this is
these reforms.
Okay,
we follow.
Hang on. Oh, that's why, because that was actually. Oh, bummer. I think I lost it. Let's go back. Maybe we can do that. No, that didn't work either. All right, whatever. Yeah, it was, it's probably good anyway. It was a speech that Ezra Cohen gave. Actually, here it is. All right, I found it. Here it is. This is Mike, I don't know, Mike Flynn's replying to this. Meet Ezra Cohen. I mean, this is someone else talking about, and it was a response to General MC News, the General. Flynn's responding to this guy. Maybe the General's like, right, who knows? Again, I hate when there's no sources. Just seems like you're just saying shit, but we'll see. Hopefully he's right. And if not, I'm probably never going to trust him, ever.
As we enact these reforms, we follow the vision of President John F. Kennedy, who predicted the rise of special operations nearly 60 years ago. He foresaw, quote, another type of war, new in its intensity, ancient in its origin, that would require a whole new kind of strategy, a wholly different kind of forces which are too unconventional to be called conventional forces, which are growing in number and importance and significance. President Kennedy gave these remarks at the opening of the nuclear age, when the Pentagon was primarily organized to plan and direct large conventional operations against superpowers, not special operations short of overt declared conflict. The global demands for special operations forces then and now has confirmed President Kennedy's foresight. And now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of special operations forces.
So I don't know, whatever. I mean, this is the guy. I don't know if he is. Everyone's talking about it, so maybe this guy's right. You know, shut up. Maybe he's right. Don't know. Again, it just bugs me that there's no references, no sources. Just all right, something I'm hearing. So okay, then he's leaking information. Then, in my opinion, right? Like if this is according to sources that belong to whoever the general was. Oh, it's different generals here. This is all Flynn. But yeah, if it's general news. If this guy's got actual sources and he literally knows what he's talking about, and then he's turning around and leaking it, is that good? Right? Like, if Ezra Cohen's who they're thinking about, why are they shooting out a balloon? Anyway, whatever. Too much time on this. Anywho, Ezra Cohen Watnick, he's one that was called out in Q-Post, so a lot of people are, I think, tripping on this. Maybe want him to be there. I don't know. I looked up just Ezra Cohen. There was a bunch of stuff, but it was all just kind of referencing along some of this, so... who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's going to freak out the deep state. Maybe that's why this rumor is being pushed around. Maybe this leak to the general is one of the people that just got fired. Who knows? I don't know. It was very interesting to me. Stuff's happening all the time, and it's crazy. MyPillow.com/OTF. Good stuff. Great coupon code, by the way. Go there, check it out. They've got some really good products. I did just finally get in my drinks today, or yesterday, actually, they showed up. I haven't busted them open yet, but yes, they are wonderful. I got 2 12-packs. I got the lemonade and I got the blue one. The apple's really good. I mean, if you like green apple, you're going to dig it. The flavors are amazing. So you can certainly check that out, and you're going to save 30%. And you can also get a free 3-pack if you haven't ordered it already. There's literally, you just have to pay shipping, but you can try it for free, kind of ish. But use coupon code OTF. Also, they've got his great cross. He's doing 30% off on that. We've got the original MyPillow, one of my favorite products that's ever been made. This is what made me fall in love with the company. And then I tried the sheets. Yeah. And I was amazed to have a fourth corner. It was like, because the ones I had, it was like literally they barely fit. They go about halfway down the mattress. Like they just suck. And so, yeah, I got those. And they literally fit, and it was easy, and they were actually too big almost, and I just put them under the bottom and made it awesome. My bed now, same situation. The sheets are just great. The cotton's really nice, the Giza especially. The cotton, super high thread counts. It's really, really, really nice sheets. Love them. It's one of the greatest experiences, in my opinion, is sleeping on clean sheets. Like that first night, it's something weird about it. I don't know what it is, but it's like the best night of sleep for me, anyways. So that was it. And then I tried the towels, and I was like, holy crap, they make really good towels. That's the thing I've found. All the stuff they make, it's really good. The slippers, like putting your foot in a cloud. Seriously, go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you've ever had. I love how I make up slogans for other people's companies. I don't know, in case it matters to people, they're making a deal about this. I think it's kind of strange, but it's demonstrating, I think, how fast they're building submarines. It doesn't necessarily mean they're good, but whatever the case is, or if these guys know what the hell they're doing. But they're certainly going out of their way to increase the numbers. This is one of their first submarine base, and they've got several nuclear-powered submarine boats that are docked up, and it looks like they have something in dry dock. Either they're building one or they're stripping one down. They're not 100% sure, but yeah, a bunch of satellite photos. Kind of cool if you're into this sort of thing. I think one of these they're saying is a boomer or a nuke boat, and I'll see if I can find it. I don't know if it's that one or not. Yeah, this guy, I think. This is the one. I think these are the vertical launch tubes. I think this is the one they were referring to. I don't know. It's hard for me to tell. Certainly not an expert. Or ours are easier to tell. Usually they're a bit wider and friggin' huge. We used to make monster submarines on those. The LA class, well, that was the one I got into. I think I forget Kennedy class. I forget which one it is. Like the Seawolf class, whatever that is. I forget what number or which one it is. But I actually got to tour the Los Angeles class. I had a cousin that was stationed on one down in San Diego. Man, that was cool. We didn't get to go into the weapon room or up on the brig or what? No, not the brig. What are the control tower or whatever. Like, we weren't allowed in there, but there's some cool places we got to check out while we were there. It was still cool. Putin declares 30-hour Russian ceasefire in Ukraine for Easter. Also, it is the happy Greek Easter, too. Their Easter is actually happening this same day. That doesn't happen often, but that's pretty cool when the Orthodox Easter is the same day as the regular Easter, and many may not even know that. I only know it because I worked at a coffee shop where the Greek Orthodox Church in the area would flood to us that one day, and we were never prepared for it. So we were like, "What? Why is there like 50 of you all here right now? Like, what's up?" And they're like, "Oh, it's Easter," and we're like, "But that was last Sunday." And they're like, "No, our Easter's now." It's like, oh, okay. And so we found out, we learned some things. So yeah, kind of cool in case you knew or didn't know. Some of you guys probably do. 30-hour Russian ceasefire. Eventually Zelensky kind of was like, all right, whatever. At first he wanted to reject it. He says he doesn't trust, of course. But I mean, honestly, I don't know. Everyone just says, well, I don't trust Putin, because that's what you're supposed to say, because everyone's going to call you a Putin lover if you don't. I actually trust Putin a lot more than I do a lot of people on this planet right now. A lot. Like him and the guy in Hungary, I'm drawing a blank on his name, the Bolsonaro guy, should have been in Brazil. The dude we got in El Salvador right now. The lady in Italy, she's pretty awesome, but I think she's still controlled by the EU, right? What else we got? I don't have very many, right? There's a few. I feel like there's one more I'm forgetting, but still. Turkey's Erdogan, I think, I don't know. Who knows? We'll see, right? Orban is the guy from Hungary, by the way. There we go. So we have a weird thing that's happening, and usually the people that are on the good side of the fence are the ones that are name-called the hardest. So that's kind of why I'm pretty sure Putin's a good dude. Zelensky's the one that everyone's like, you need to like Zelensky. And it's like, so he's probably the bad dude, which, I mean, if you're paying attention even a little bit, it's obvious. But I don't know. This is how the game's played. Screw them. Russia and Ukraine, they swapped hundreds of POWs. This is a good move. I feel like this is part of the negotiations. There is some rumor that there might be a permanent ceasefire coming. We'll see. Again, Trump's like, hey, look, you either guys pull this off here in the next couple days, like we say in New York, you either shit or get off the pot, I don't know if they actually say that. They probably do. Most of us say it all over the place. It just doesn't usually sound like that. This is an interesting time, though. They got, what do we got? How many? There was hundreds, I want to say. It's quite a few. Ceasefire, right? And then captured soldiers, swapped hundreds of captured soldiers. Largest exchange since Moscow's full-scale invasion. Yeah, we're in strange times. Iran and U.S. are holding talks in Rome. Supposedly they went very well. They had this intermediary, which made me think, it was like, what a weird job. But so there's like U.S. people sit in like one room, right? I don't know if they're in like hotel rooms or, and this guy's like walking down the hall or what. But literally they're in one room, and then in another room is the Iranian people, like another hotel suite or whatever. And there's a dude that walks in. I think he's from, I don't know, Qatar or something like that, right? He walks in, he's like, all right, so this is all the things you want? Okay, say it into the microphone. Say it with your face, right? Like, and then he walks over and he's like, all right, this is what they want. And then they're like, well, this is what we want back from them, and this is what we, And then he comes back and he's like, hey, I learned how to juggle. So this is working out, they're saying. There's a lot of rumor going around right now. There's a lot of people that are saying, well, secret sources are saying that Israel is going to attack Iran even without the U.S.'s help. That's very unlikely. First off, they don't have the weapons to pull it off. So that's the problem. We have the bunker busters that are used to pull it off. And to my understanding, too, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially it's like the tip of one of these anyways, like the one that we'd probably have to use, is like the barrel of a howitzer. Like the 150 millimeter cannon, right? And it shoots the shells way the hell away. Supposedly it's like the tip of one of those, basically, with that huge weight, like a giant-ass lawn dart with some giant explosives way behind it. So yeah, somehow it's able to penetrate extremely far, certainly extremely dense metal at the tip. And then, yeah, that kinetic energy just burrowing through. Israel doesn't have that. There's no way they could hit the facility. They could soften it up. They could do a lot of things, but they can't. Even if they threw nukes at Iran, they couldn't blow up the facility. It would. So I don't. It's gotta. We'll see. This is playing out. We obviously don't want a world war. The deep state obviously does. Deep state wants a world war. It seems they haven't been able to get China to invade Taiwan, which would likely lead to potential nuclear strikes. And they haven't been able to pull it off with Ukraine and Russia. And it's so far not happening yet with Iran, but they're trying very hard to play it up. You see it in the news. You see it all over the screens, right? All the borders everywhere, the billboards everywhere. So they're trying to build that up. I don't think that's going to be allowed. We'll see. U.S. officials made very good progress, they're saying. Very good. Yay. And it's quotes. Very good, according to sources. Probably. But yeah, supposedly Steve Witkoff, he said, we agreed to meet again next week and are grateful to our Oman for facilitating these talks and to our Italian partners for hosting us today. So that was very cool. They were in Italy. Very nice. Which means they had some lovely food, good wine, good drink. Ecuador is on maximum alert over alleged assassination plot. So there's some contention in their elections. It seems they got somebody in, I want to say he's conservative, and they're trying to say the guy that lost basically is saying that you committed gross electoral fraud. Maybe the guy that lost is, I don't know who's who, frankly. They're President Daniel Noboa, the government's raid said on Saturday. He was recently reelected. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So he was reelected. They're accusing him of stealing the election. His main rival, Luis Gonzalez, says he created grotesque electoral fraud. Mexico is not acknowledging that this new guy is in charge, whoever he is, or the reelected guy is not admitting him as the president. So there's this, I don't know, weird thing going on. And the state's on alert because there is threats of potential assassination plots that have snuck in from Mexico, they say. And I don't know. It sounds to me like, like maybe the government or like maybe someone was going to come in. It was kind of like what I think South Korea did when the dude did martial law to stop the overthrowing of him, even though it cost him anyways. It's just weird how things are happening right now. And again, it's so hard to tell in a lot of cases, for me anyways, who the good guy and the bad guy is. You just like, they keep showing up. They keep doing weird things. They're caught up in stuff that doesn't look right, but at the same time, I don't know if the other person's better. I don't know enough about these guys' crazy land over here. We'll hear more, I'm assuming. Something to keep in your mind. So Ecuador, down there on the equator, where they're shorter usually. It's funnier. The further north or south you go, the taller people tend to get, and closer to the equator, culturally anyways, the shorter people tend to get. It's kind of funny how it works. So yes, let's see. The same girl who survived. Oh yeah, this is interesting. Oh no, they're not showing her picture. Oh, is that true? Let me see if it's in the original. Oh, it is. Cool. So this is supposedly a girl that was in the 2018 Parkland shooting. And then she just happened to be at Florida State University when that shooting happened. Really weird. Again, I'm not saying anything. I just find that to be very strange. Like, first off, the odds of being in a school shooting, definitely low, but horrific. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay that, but pretty rare. Like, I mean, it happened, but that you were there? And then to be there a second time? Whew, that's like getting struck by lightning twice, kind of, isn't it? Needless to say, whatever. This chick has supposedly done it, and she said she was able to help people better because she's, like, experienced. Like, she's, like, seasoned. Oh, another shooting? All right, here's what we got to do, guys. Nah. Rep. Andy Biggs announced Friday that his adult daughter, Cassette, has passed away while trying to battle cancer. Very sad. Certainly my heart goes out to Rep. Andy Biggs' family and all the people that are affected by this. Very sad. So, again, public people having to go through pains like this, especially children, which is kind of a deep state thing, typically. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy or anything, but usually they'll ask you to sacrifice one of your kids. Very sad. Very sad indeed. So who knows? And I'm not saying that's the case. It's just to lose a child is really, really, really bad. And Big Ten schools creating a mutual defense compact against Trump actions. So the Big Ten schools are kind of getting together now and like, we're going to fight this. We're going to fight Trump. We're going to get together and make our own little coalition, but kind of, I don't know, one, they're losing all their funding. This is just going to make it worse. Two, the government's already taking that funding and putting it towards a better school than what they can provide, and it's going to be significantly cheaper, and it's going to be accredited, and yada, yada, yada. So I don't know what these guys think they're going to be able to pull off, but we are finding, and this is, again, why I don't like the stock market, because we're finding like a lot of the Big Ten schools, we're finding a lot of the premium companies, we're finding that a lot of these particular big places that have been around forever are some of the absolute worst. And we're living through this, like this shedding. We're shedding our skin. We're shedding our, I don't know, I'm not trying to make us look like reptiles. That's kind of gross, but like, we're sloughing off this density, this weight that we've been carrying with us. And like I've said before, it's like either you're going to rise up through this and get through the eye of the needle, if you will, or it's going to drag you down and you won't make it. I mean, it's just, there's examples of death and stuff as far as people not getting through this. I don't know if there's going to be something larger at some point. Again, it's going to be weird. I mean, yeah, there's been so many fun talks around that. I had the $5 meeting yesterday. It's the third Saturday of every month at 1 o'clock Pacific time. We do a Zoom meeting just for anybody that's a reoccurring subscriber. So if you want to do that, you would go to, was it onthefringe.locals.com? Make sure I give you guys the right thing. Yeah, onthefringe.locals.com. And you guys can, sometimes we post some stuff. I'll be honest, I hardly ever post, and I'm sure it's a bummer. I did share something very cool on here, though, recently. This is how they control you. This was fantastic. The gentleman that put this together, this is worth an hour of your life if you want to understand PSYOPs. I also put it on my Twitter. I think I got a lot more traction there, obviously. But if you come and if you do a $5 membership, $5 every third Saturday, you'll get invited to a Zoom meeting at 1 o'clock Pacific time. I mean, it's unfortunately the time I got. And if for some reason you're somebody that's a $5 member and you're like, I don't ever see that, check your junk mail. I literally just said it yesterday. You would have gotten two emails from me. One just saying, hey, the meeting's coming up in 20 minutes. And another one saying, hey, here's all the stuff for the Zoom meeting. So yeah, if you're someone that wants to come and feels like you've done this, but for some reason don't seem like you ever get invited, that might be something to double check, because I do send it to all the emails. Is what you, however you log into this in the email, the account you're using, that's the email address I have. So that's what I'm using. If you're expecting it to come from someplace else, it's not going to. It's going to come from what you use to set up this account. So that's also something to keep in mind as well. All said, it's kind of fun. And this is just a really good thing. So I did that. All said. Okay, Trump media, they're pressing U.S. regulators to investigate short position. Oh, yeah, the $25 meeting's coming up next week. That's why I was bringing that up. Sorry. Next week, this coming Saturday, 1 o'clock Pacific time, there's going to be a bunch of us that get together. That's the $25 membership, and you get invited to both when you're in that one. But that one's showing up, and it's cool. We do that show. It's called In the Mix, and kind of let the community come in and talk about the crazy stuff that's going on. So there you go. That was the point of all that, and I just walk away from the point. Pretty horrible on my part. Trump media presses U.S. regulator to investigate short position in its stocks. It's $105 million by Cube Research and Technologies. That's a big deal. It's a big short position. They're kind of wondering what's up. That's something they want to look into. So I don't know. We'll see what comes from that. Hopefully something. Obviously the SEC is sort of Trump's baby right now to a degree. Finally, Vince Vaughn joins President Trump after attending Good Friday prayer service. Kind of cool. Good for Vince Vaughn. Made me feel like at least I'm allowed to like his movies. Dodgeball is one of my all-time favorite movies. I love Dodgeball. That's a funny-ass movie. And, Ben may not, I don't know, who knows. He's got some interesting background, but this Vince Vaughn individual's a good guy. I think. Whatever. He's a decent guy. How about that? I'll go that far. We got a lot going on, guys. I think this week's going to be interesting. Just be open, be aware, be on your toes, man, because things are coming. Don't get too fixated on how it's going to come. I'd be pretty fluid because, there's some stuff that definitely we expect to see happen, but when, we don't know exactly, right? And there's some stuff that we probably don't want to happen that we've been expecting to happen. We'll see how this all plays out. Just, be ready, be prepared. And like I've said before, don't stay in their system, that's for sure, if you can avoid it, because their system's coming down. Their system is coming down. Hopefully it's like 9/11 and the buildings just fall on themselves, right? Like hopefully the economy just falls on itself as much as it needs to. He's got to be able to blame the Fed. He's got to be able to get the Fed out. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room around how that can play out. It needs to look bad for the Fed, right? They have to be failing in their mission. And so if they're doing that and have done that, then not only can Trump fire Powell, but we could possibly have some arguments for removing them entirely. It will be interesting to see how this next period of time, next few months, we're in it, guys. We're in it hard right now. So be prepared, be ready. And I'm right there with you, shoulder to shoulder. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.